Assalamualaikum and greetings to everyone. We would like to present to you the implementation of ISO 14001 in the company chosen, Alam Sekitar Malaysia, Asma Sendirian Berhad.
The objective of site visit are first to observe and gain evidence on the implementation of this ISO 14001 in the company. Besides, to enhance back the understanding on how ISO 40001 are being implemented, and the last one is to give response or effects towards the operations and system in the organization.
Asma has been committed in providing world-class total environmental solutions and towards providing quality environmental solutions. Asma has been at the forefront of environmental monitoring since 1995 when it was awarded a concession by the Malaysian government to establish a systematic and comprehensive monitoring network for air and river water quality for the nations and to establish the National Environmental Data Center. While Asma began as a company that focused on environmental monitoring and assessments that include not only air and water but also soil, noise, and odor, it has evolved into one-stop center that offers a wide range of services and products in serving the national needs of both the public and private sector. Indeed, Asma is rapidly advancing towards realizing its visions to be the premier total environmental solution provider. History of the company. Starting with the visions of a cleaner earth, incorporated in May of 1993, Alam Sekitar Malaysia Sdn Bhd, Asma is a private company under the PIC group of companies that provide total environmental solutions to clients, including governments, industry, research institutions, and private individuals. In 1995, Asma was awarded 20-year concessions to provide air and water quality monitoring for the Department of Environment, DOE Malaysia. Until now, under the concessions, Asma is credited with the installations and management of 51 continuous air quality monitoring stations, CAQM, and 15 continuous water quality monitoring stations, CWQM, including managing more than 910 manual water quality monitoring stations, covering most of the rivers, basins in the country, and 25 manual air quality stations located throughout the nations. Asma is invested in the early years in acquiring the necessary technical expertise from North America to implement successful the above program, including a stringent quality control, which is an essential component to ensure the data collected are accurate and useful. Over the past 7 years, the technology is now fully transferred, and local Malaysian scientists and engineers in the company can carry on serving the government, including extending its services to the industry and to expand regionally as well, with a staff strength of 100, of which more than half are scientists and engineers.
There are 6 scopes of company which are environmental monitoring, environmental consultancy, waste management,
training, environmental information technology, and geography information system. Scope of discussion. In this presentation, we are going to explain the implementation of ISO 14001 in the main office of Asma, where the site visit was made.
(4.2) Environmental Policy. Environmental policy establishes the principle of actions for an organization. It sets the level of environmental responsibility and performance required of the organizations against which all subsequent action will be judged. Following ISO 14001, Asma Environmental Policy is a statement of commitment from Asma towards better and sustainable environment. The environmental policy defines scopes of environmental management system (EMS) that have been implemented by Asma for better environment. So, for Asma, the policy is appropriate to the environmental aspect of activities, products, and services, as it consists of guiding principles that help the organizations to define the overall scope of the commitment to environment.
Aspect Register. Asma should identify the environmental aspect of routine activities and document the information and keep it up to date. From the aspect, Asma should determine the significant environmental aspect (SEA). Asma should ensure that the aspect, especially the SEA, been handled accordingly.
Asma has established the Environmental Procedure (EP) of EPE Asma 01 Identifications of Environmental Aspect and Significant Evaluations. The Environment Aspect Register EAR01 will register the Asma routine activities and then be evaluated for CEA. By using the guideline from EP Asma 01, all relevant departments and activities will register their aspect and evaluate the aspect accordingly. The environmental aspect that relevant to policy and CEA for Asma for main office include 1. Use of paper, 2. Consumptions of non-renewable resources water which for domestic use, 3. Consumptions of non-renewable resource electricity, and 4. Workplace environment. Asma determine their parameter environmental impacts from the environmental aspects. These include resource use, water management, air emissions, water pollution, noise or vibrations, land contaminations, and flora-fauna. The environmental significance include legal, environmental impact, quantity, and corporate concern.
In the subclause 4.3 is tell about planning. There is 3 subunit under planning, which is environmental aspect, legal and other requirements, objective, targets and program. Under 4.3.2, which is legal and other requirements, Asma established EP Asma 02 review of legal and other requirement. All the relevant legal compliance will be registered under Register of Legal ROL01. This is to ensure this legal has been subscribed and applied and of course related to environmental aspect. Okay, the table below shows the legal and other requirements that have been implemented by Asma. The legal implemented by Asma under Schedule Waste Regulation 2005, which are focused on chemical disposal, e-waste disposal and carbon-14. Under other requirements, Asma are highlights on paper and electricity only. In Asma, targets are set with the objective according to the Asma environmental policy. Programs are established to accommodate the target and objective that had been set. Asma are very committed to continually improve the target, objective and program with environmental sustainability in mind. There are 5 aspects that relevant to policy and SEA, which is use of paper, consumption of non-renewable resource water, non-renewable resource electricity and the workplace environments. The target for use of paper is 100% awareness to staff, and by objective is by recycling program, by conduct a program such as recycle program and awareness campaign. In the use of paper also, they target to reduce the paper usage about 5% by control the paper usage in buying the bulk stationery A4 and control the usage of paper by company. In the water aspect, the target is 100% awareness to Asma staff by the objective is aware the staff on water conservation by conduct a program such as campaign and awareness campaign. In the electricity aspect, the target to 100% awareness to Asma staff also by the objective is to aware the staff on electricity conservation by conduct a campaign. In the workplace environment aspect, is the target of the Asma is to establish green area workplace by the objective green office by conduct a program such as promote green area in the Asma workplace and encourage staff to have small plum at each cubicle. In the subclause 4.4 is tell about the implementation and operation. There is 7 subunit. Under resource, role, responsibility and authority, the picture shows the organizational chart of Asma company which is led by CEO and COO and 4 branch under them which are business development, execution, business excellence and quality and data management.
Competence, training and awareness. In the competence part, in Asma, they have set some criteria in assigning a positions or duty in its organizations. Basically, it is all based on the qualification, certifications and experiences. Before assigning the job, Asma will make sure that the person must meet certain conditions and requirements in performing that task. For example, to start in this job, the worker must have to complete at least an environmental health degree or postgraduate degree. Then they must to pass a series of professional exams and complete a period of work-based training. Next, in training part, basically in Asma, they have their own modules and exams. All staff should pass the exams. If they do not pass, they will retake the exams. This exam will be conducted every 3 years. Not only that, to do this job, the worker must have criteria in good spoken and written skills. They must also be able to deal with people from all backgrounds and must have a good level of scientific understanding. Next, in the awareness part, Asma will give 100% awareness to their staff based on the impact to the environmental aspect, such as in the recycle program, water conservation, electricity conservation, and workplace environment. They have their own target, objective, and program that either will be or continuously conducted. For awareness, there is no limit of time. Asma will always conduct a program, campaign, and assessment to the staff. If their staff are not aware with the sign of awareness, some notice will be given to them. 4.4.3 Communication. Basically, there are two types of communication that have been applied by Asma, which are internal communication and external communication. In the internal communication, there are two types of communication that have been used by the Asma, which are verbal communication and written communication. These types of communication usually conducted internally among the staffs. Firstly, for verbal communication, the head top of the Asma will communicate directly to their staff. All the things will be clearly stated in those conversations. For example, Asma will conduct a meeting with the staff. Secondly, for written communication, some of the examples that have been applied by the Asma include memos, bulletin board, minutes of meeting, proposal, emails, letters, training manuals, and operating procedures. They may be printed or appear on the screen. In Asma, there is a notice board that had been used by the Asma to give information as a way of internal communication with the others. All the issues or news will be posted there. 4.4.3 Communication. Basically, there are two types of communication that have been applied by Asma, which are internal communication and external communication. In the internal communication, there are two types of communication that have been used by the Asma, which are verbal communication and written communication. These types of communication usually conducted internally among the staffs. Firstly, for verbal communication, the head top of the Asma will communicate directly to their staff. All the things will be clearly stated in those conversations. For example, Asma will conduct a meeting with the staff. Secondly, for written communication, some of the examples that have been applied by the Asma include memos, bulletin board, minutes of meeting, proposal, emails, letters, training manuals, and operating procedures. They may be printed or appear on the screen. In Asma, there is a notice board that had been used by the Asma to give information as a way of internal communication with the others. All the issues or news will be posted there. Here is an example of internal communication that is involved in written communication. This is a picture of memo available on the notice board. Have a look. Next is a picture of bulletin board that is available in Asma, which is main office that is updated monthly or when necessary. In external communications, Asma always communicate with their customers, suppliers, investors, shareholders, and society at large. Communication channels include face-to-face communication, printed media, broadcast media, electronic communication, social media, and email. Examples of printed media that usually used by Asma are newspaper, magazines, flyers, and newsletter. In electronic communication, Asma always use this type of medium to communicate with public by using such as websites and social media. For them, the type of electronic communication is the easier way in order to communicate to all of the people around the world. Everyone can have access to their company website so they can know more details about Asma. In external communications, Asma always communicate with their customers, suppliers, investors, shareholders, and society at large. Communication channels include face-to-face communication, printed media, broadcast media, electronic communication, social media, and email. Examples of printed media that usually used by Asma are newspaper, magazines, flyers, and newsletter. In electronic communication, Asma always use this type of medium to communicate with public by using such as websites and social media. For them, the type of electronic communication is the easier way in order to communicate to all of the people around the world. Everyone can have access to their company website so they can know more details about Asma. Here is an example of external communication that is involved in electronic communication, which is a picture of website for Asma. 4.4.4 Documentation. In documentation part, Asma have its own environmental management system manual in order to implement EMS in its organization. The EMS manual is highly confidential and must be kept safely as it contains legal information, thus not available for us to have a look. The manual contains all the activities, products, and services conducted by the Asma. Some of the examples of the documents available in Asma include records, organizational charts, process information, and procedures. 4.4.4 Documentation. In documentation part, Asma have its own environmental management system manual in order to implement EMS in its organization. The EMS manual is highly confidential and must be kept safely as it contains legal information, thus not available for us to have a look. The manual contains all the activities, products, and services conducted by the Asma. Some of the examples of the documents available in Asma include records, organizational charts, process information, and procedures.
Four point 4.5 Control of document. Organization should establish and maintain procedure for controlling all documents. Procedure shall ensure all documents to be first reviewed, updated, and approved. Second is change identified with revision status included. Third, available to those who need them. Fourth, legible and easily identifiable. Fifth, identified and distributed for external document. And lastly is removed when obsolete. Asma has determined the significant environmental aspects SEA, ensured that the aspect, especially the SEA, been handled accordingly. Identify the environmental aspects of routine activities, document the information and keep it up to date. Four point 4.7 Emergency Preparedness and Response. Asma identify and establish emergency preparedness and response. They have done emergency preparedness activities such as fire drill once a year. Emergency response plans are also made and communicated to all staff. This is the exit sign to give alert for emergency preparedness and response. And this is the fire extinguisher and route map equipped in Asma for emergency preparedness and response purpose.
Checking. Checking involves measurement, monitoring and evaluation of an organization's environmental performance. 4.5.1 Monitoring and measurement. Procedures should include the information for monitoring and measurement of environmental performance of companies. The record of companies' environmental performance are saved in both soft copy and hard copy. The example of monitoring and measurement in Asma is to minimize paper consumption. They use both sides of paper before recycle, and everyone in Asma has limit and record of the use of photocopy machine. Next, they also apply effective consumption of water and electricity. They switch off the lamps in the office during rest hour and switch off one of two air conditioner in environmental data management room every 12 hours since the room is in 24 hours operation. Four point five point two Evaluation of compliance. Asma has subscribed its legal requirements such as Environmental Quality Schedule Waste Regulation 2005. For instance, Asma Radioactive Analysis Laboratory use carbon-14, which is very toxic substance that have a significant environmental impact. The chemical is used to measure quality of air emission to environment. Second, Asma also comply with regular requirements as in the established EP Asma 02 review and Register of Legal ROL 01. Next, Asma also ensure the company comply with other requirements include paper, water and electricity. The evaluation of these other requirements may include the electricity and water bills as well as the use of photocopy machine records. Four point five point three Non-conformity, corrective action and preventive action. Non-conformity is non-fulfillment of requirement of Environmental Management System ISO 14001. Asma has correcting non-conformance by remedial action taken to mitigate the environmental impact of non-conformity and take preventive action to minimize the potential non-conformity. For instance, Asma will set to switch off the lamps and air conditioners automatically when not in use, manage shift works, and ensure the usage and disposal of chemicals obey the legal and other requirements. The internal audit process of environmental management system done by Asma is one way of periodically identifying non-conformities.
Four point five point four Control of records. Asma keep all their records in a specific room and keep them confidential. The unused records are usually shredded to prevent from leakage of information. How long they keep their records depends on cases and departments. For example, Asma has several departments such as water and air departments which have different record management system. 4.5.5 Internal Audit. Asma have their own internal audit that checks every single aspect and segment in the company. There are persons and teams appointed to become the auditee in the company. The internal audit is done at least once a year, and the latest one was done on last September. Management Review. The management review done in Asma considers all the clauses as stated in ISO 14001 from 4.1 until 4.6. The management review is done every time an internal audit is conducted. Every time an internal audit is conducted in Asma, the auditee should mention the corrective actions need to be taken if there are non-conformities occur for each of their aspect measured and be included in the management review document. However, the management review document in Asma is confidential, therefore we were unable to have a look at the document.
Conclusion and recommendation. This site visit aims to observe and learn the implementation of Environmental Management System ISO 14001 in the chosen company, as well as to enhance the understanding of theory learned in class. From this site visit, we can conclude that all levels in the organization should be responsible toward achieving environmental performance and improvements in ISO 14001. We are surely pleased to recommend Alam Sekitar Malaysia Sdn Bhd for those who wish to do site visit here, because the company activities are really related to environmental management system that we have learned.